All right, so I made a video about ChatGPT a while back, and I wanted to make another one to kind of give an update on, do I still think this is kind of useful or not? How game changing is this for industry? And I would kind of just sum that up by saying, like, this is just another tool we can use to find answers on the internet. Sometimes it reduces the steps, and sometimes it adds in more steps. So what do I mean by that? Well, I've been trying to use it on my day job at least once every day just to see, like, is this useful? And a lot of the times I'll ask it a question, and if it's related to like giving me code, usually it gives me old code that's either deprecated, that doesn't work anymore, that's not on the latest version of the software, right? So that kind of makes it even a waste of time, because now I have to go to the docs anyway, find the code snippets or the outlines that, tell me how to do things properly. I think one example was I was trying to use Prisma and I asked it to give me like a snippet of something, and it gave me some bad code that just didn't work, right? So if you're working with libraries that are often updating or changing fast, like TRPC or something, it's going to give you code that's just not going to work. But it doesn't mean that it's necessarily worthless, because I want to give you an example of where on a live stream, I was working with GitHub Actions, and I wanted to see if ChatGPT could like refactor my code, because I want to say I'm new to GitHub Actions, but I don't know the best practices. I don't sit there and read through all the documentation of GitHub Actions to make sure I'm doing things properly. So one thing you can do is you can actually ask it, can you make this GitHub Actions configuration follow some best practices, right? So let's see what this does. And I'm going to go ahead and just paste in that code. And when I did this on a live stream, it actually gave me some bullet point things that I could do to make this code cleaner. But let's see what it does today. And right off the bat, I'm looking through this and it doesn't look like it's actually changing anything about my code, like nothing at all. So maybe I'm going to stop and I'm going to rephrase the question, like, how can I make this code cleaner? Let's just try this. I'm going to paste the same code and just try to okay, it just broke. So how can I make this GitHub Actions cleaner? Let's just try this. If it just gives me a bunch of code back, it probably won't be that useful. Okay, so this is kind of like what it gave me on my live stream, and I think this code, this type of bullet point information is actually good, because a lot of this stuff is actually like best practices that you can follow, and it's giving me like listed out things that I can do to this file to make it cleaner. So this is something that I think is really, really useful with ChatGPT, because now I don't have to go and like read all the best practices and try to really understand like what I'm doing wrong. So this is saying I can use the same environment variables across all jobs instead of repeating the definition, blah, blah, blah. I can move it up. I can extract some common steps into shared actions. I can use variables and stuff. So it's kind of giving me examples like what I could do, and I can move some of this code that I probably have here up to the top, because this is shared environments that it seems like every job needs. And if we give it some time to generate this code, I think it could be pretty useful. The one thing I do find it very frustrating is that it sometimes takes so long to generate the code. I know I complained about that in the last video. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't actually like refactor the code that you want it to. Like if you look at this, I think I could move this to a environment as well. Like I could have done like, I could move this code up here, or I could have put an E and V step here. I don't know why it didn't see this and try to refactor it for me. So I think it's still in its infancy. Like this tool is cool, but it's still in its infancy. And to be honest, I think I found a lot more use out of GitHub Copilot when it was free and I was using it. It's just right there. I could just get some refactored code. I could just, find a better way to do stuff. But to sum it up, I don't think this is going to like replace developers. I know people are like scared about ChatGPT replacing developers and stuff. It's really just another tool that can help us find the information we need to be more proficient at our jobs, right? Someone still needs to understand the code that it's printing out and still needs to read through it and make sure it's good. Someone still needs to copy and paste it into the applications and run it to make sure it doesn't break. You can't just blindly use the code it gives you and expect it to work, because most of the time it's not going to work, in my opinion. Now, for those people who are scared about ChatGPT replacing you, I would say the thing you need to be worried about are low code and no code tools. So for an example, there's a lot of no code, low code things that are kind of coming out, or they've been out for a while. And let me show you why this could be potentially game changing if you don't even know about what no code is, right? So if you're using something like Tailwind CSS, there's a lot of component libraries that have all the widgets right there for you. They're already styled. You don't have to code anything at all, right? So if I want to build a website, I can just go over here and say, I want a nav bar. Boom, I got a nav bar. I want where is the headers? Okay, I want a header here. Okay, I want a feature section. A lot of these things are like locked, but if you haven't seen a no-code tool before, these things I think are probably a lot more scary in terms of replacing devs than something like ChatGPT, in my opinion, because now someone can come in here and click some buttons and get an entire page generated for them. And if the tool is good, they can export the entire page to like a JSX file. It has all the Tailwind stuff already set up. It has all the responsive behavior already set up. And I would say the jobs that need to be kind of more concerned about low code, no code tools would be more like front end engineers or designers, because anyone can come in here who has like very little coding experience, just click a few buttons, they get an entire application. And the more advanced these tools get, like maybe they can add a feature that adds like automatic email subscription links, or they can add a feature that basically sets up Stripe. Shopify is another good example of like a kind of a low code, no code tool where you just have templates and someone can just set up a Shopify store and start selling stuff, right? So these are the things that I think you need to be scared of as a designer or a front-end engineer, because they could potentially take your jobs. But at the same time, I will say that these things are generating new jobs, right? There has to be someone here making the templates. There has to be someone here creating the Shopify templates and selling those. A lot of these online platforms have ways to basically create widgets, and those widgets will give you some type of profit sharing. So even though like these tools might seem like they're replacing the need for a front-end developer or a designer, they're actually kind of opening different doors that allow people to kind of make money in different ways and contribute to front-end engineering in different ways. So that being said, a little recap is ChatGPT is still not too useful for me. Again, it's probably useful if you just want to kind of learn something new and just ask it questions instead of like going to Google and Googling your stuff and trying to find through a list of 10 results, like the thing that you actually want. But again, I sometimes find it faster just to use Stack Overflow, and just it usually has the right answer the first thing I find on Stack Overflow. So again, ChatGPT still not that interesting to me. And then of course, low code, no code tools. Again, anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk about. Hopefully you guys like my little overview and you guys aren't as worried. I know a lot of people are kind of freaking out about ChatGPT replacing devs, but again, I just don't think it's not going to happen, at least not yet. Maybe in 5 years. I would say if you see me publish a video saying that an AI replaced me, then that's when you need to start worrying. I will say there's a lot more realistic things that you should be worried about in terms of your job and your job security, and that is outsourcing. I will say that my brother was working at a company and his whole department of engineers got basically fired because they decided to outsource all the engineers to another country. Those are the things that I think are kind of scary. I don't think it's really happening as much as you think it would. But at the end of the day, if someone can build you a website for 1/100th of the price, like those are the things that are going to make engineers, at least in the US, potentially lose their jobs or be replaced in the short term. Anyway, hope you guys like watching this talk. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, press the bell icon. And like always, I got a Discord channel if you want to talk to me directly or just find a place to hang out with coders. And I also have a newsletter you can subscribe to if you want to get some emails in the future of tips and tricks on web development and advice. Have a good day and happy coding.